Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Block Thrasher, where we are shattering the complexities of crypto with news, commentary, analysis, education, and interviews. Today we have an interview. I'm just going to sit down and chat with Josiah Saballa, and we're going to talk about some things that I think might be interesting. I hope they will be. I'm excited about it. He's been doing some research on a number of different things and has been in the space for quite a while. And so why don't you just introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself and maybe like your history of how you got into crypto, how long you've been in it, and maybe some things that you've learned, if there's been any lessons that you've learned through trial or error over the course of time.
Yeah,
Go for it.
like you said, my name's Josiah. I think I've been in crypto since 2017, around the summertime. That was when the ICO craze was kicking off, and
Oh,
all
yes.
these coins were coming out, and they're like, "Buy my coin," and then you're
You know
like,
which
"You
one
get
stands
this
out in
money."
my memory most is Electroneum,
Oh yeah, yeah,
uh,
yeah.
which
The
is
mobile
still
mining
alive.
app. I don't know
What's that? The
how.
mobile mining app. Yeah.
How? Like what? It does it. You just no.
I had some big
So
hopes for it, and it is still alive, and they are doing some things, like with they've created something that's kind of like a Upwork or a 99 Designs or that sort of thing, where like you can go and you can hire graphic designers and developers around the world, and you can pay them in Electroneum, and they're trying to work with electric companies in those countries where those people are, and
oh.
who knows, maybe it'll go somewhere. I don't know, but the problem with it was too centralized. It was crazy inflationary in the beginning, and it just ended up like losing insane amounts of value. And then they went and they were like one of the first to just demand KYC of everybody. And I remember I was in at the time,
Wow.
and it was just like, no, sorry, I'm out of here. And I guess that was compliance with the UK or something, because it was based out of the UK. So
Oh boy.
anyway, I don't know.
Yeah.
Which ones do you
As a
remember
kid, I
most
remember.
from that?
Yeah, Electroneum. Um, Neo was popular back then.
God, yeah.
Um, yeah, everyone was getting into that one. I know. I don't know. That's not Neo necessarily was an ICO per se, but it was just around. I think that at the time the nodes were catching on, where if you had enough coin, you could make a node, or
Master
you
node.
a master node, yeah,
Oh
and you
yes,
would get
everyone was cloning
dividends.
Dash.
Exactly. Everybody
Yeah.
wanted to have the Dash because at the time that was the heyday of the Dash nodes. And if
Mm.
you had making 700 Dash, was it, or something like that? It was
It
a ridiculous
was
amount of minutes.
it was some crazy returns. Yeah.
Yeah, they were just there. They could basically live off of that. Well, until was it early 2018?
Yeah, I've got some
So
stories about that. I actually got involved in the development of some of the Masternode projects, most of
wow.
which are non-existent at this point. I was doing branding and logos and stuff like that. One was called XCG, and I actually did incredibly well because I was the first guy to have a Masternode on that platform. But that's a whole nother story. But we were talking about,
Shoot.
you were introducing yourself. Sorry.
No,
Maybe
it's
we can
fine. It's fine. I
circle
like
back
I
to
like to
that.
go. I know. I'm notorious for rabbit trails. Ask my wife. Um, so yeah, I got into BitConnect and Devor or
Ooh,
Daver, or however you want to call it, and everybody knows BitConnect, and
yeah.
probably not as much about Devor, but both were pretty much the same, except for Devor was out of France and BitConnect was out of Southeast Asia, and yeah, early 2018 they popped smoke and were gone like ninjas, and
Mhm.
I was left with not I don't even I didn't have the bag. I didn't even have the bag. It was they all because it was all centralized. It was all
Yeah.
locked up,
Yeah.
two
Oh
weeks,
man.
1 week. I don't think they have had 1 week. They just had 2 weeks or 30 days or something,
Wow.
promising huge returns. And nobody
Yeah.
even knew how it was all working. And the CEO and their team, it was totally anonymous except for that one, what they have what do they call us? Not a seminar, where a bunch of people went to Southeast Asia to brag and party about
A conference or
BitConnect.
something?
And they had a conference and they had
Okay.
this one guy, he was from the city, and he was going on and on about how his wife was wrong because she said it was a scam, and he was like, no, and he goes to the bank and he withdraws like 10 grand and slaps it on the table, and she's like, it's a scam, and he's like, no, 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 it's not. Yep, lo and behold. So after 2018, that I took a hiatus. I focused on other things in my life, but I started getting back into it. Definitely last year. Just I don't know. I didn't own any, but I just wanted to know more. I think that was my biggest driver. I like to understand how each one worked, at least on a surface to a subsurface level, so I could actually answer some questions. So, because that was crypto, honestly, has been my gateway into like getting into other finance, like traditional finance and how all that works. Because I traditionally have just been horrible money, water, hands, there's no difference. So I learned from those mistakes, by getting involved in this, and then, branching out and saying, what's this, what's that, how does all this work? And it was just, it's been a never ending hole that I've gone down, just learning about all these different things about financial education that we weren't taught in high school, which is super unfortunate because I just, man, it's nuts. But so my day job that I do right now is basically a help desk guy for the Marines,
Oh,
and
that's cool.
they have a problem with their computer. They dial this number. It probably goes through a couple of relays and then hits my desk, and I'm in a queue, and then I pick up and say my spiel, and then they're like, my Google broke. Literally, someone told my friend that was one of his first calls. My Google broke, and he's like, "Did you refresh the page, sir?" And the guy goes, "We can do that."
Yeah.
Yes, you can. And it goes, "Wow, that's amazing."
It reminds me way back when just when I was graduating from college around that time,
Yeah.
and then I went from college and I went to seminary. But in between, I had this job working in a call center for a software company. I started out in the call center. I ended up being
Yeah.
transitioning into their ID department and running the networks and all that sort of thing. That's when I started doing web development and started getting into coding and things like that. But initially, but those sort of early days of the internet. And so the company was called Wintronics Inc. And RegNet was the website. They sold software for shareware developers. I don't know if you remember that, but back in the day when people give out the floppy disks, and you'd get them like at the fair or something, and they'd have Doom on it. And then you'd go home and you'd put it in, play it, but you can only play it for a little bit. And then you had to call in and get the registration code. Well, that's what I did.
Oh my word.
Right? But what was funny about it was like, we would have people call us all the time with technical support issues. Like, I started playing the game and then my computer shut off and it won't turn back on. And I don't know what to do. It's like, where it's going with all of that was, I can't tell you how many times. And I was also providing technical support for the rest of the company. How many times people would call and they'd be like, yeah, my computer shut off. I can't get it on. It's not working. It's like, all right, let's start at the beginning. First check to tell me, is it plugged into the wall? And they'd be like, oh, somebody must have tripped on the cord. It's not plugged in, It's just like, but almost always stuff like that. First question was, did you try and reboot the system?
Yeah.
No, I didn't do that. Okay, reboot the system. If it doesn't work after it reboots, call me back. And you'd almost never hear from them again, Just basic stuff, I always thought that was hilarious.
Yeah. My friend of mine was on the call for 15 minutes until he realized the lady's computer was not on. And she was just answering his questions, like that. Is this working? Is this working? Can you get to this? Can you get this? Yeah. Is it on? No. What? So, but yeah, aside from, helping Marines with their, computers or helping them turn them on or whatever, I'm doing full-time school at WGU for cloud computing, and I've like just started, this is like my second semester. And I like it. It's super flexible. You can do like one class at a time, do one class, finish it, do the next class, finish it, but you're still technically counted as being full-time.
Okay.
So there's no, remember the, do you hear about the, the discussion forums? You had to respond to the question from the professor, and you had to make your response different from everybody else. You couldn't just say yes or no, or I agree. Oh, it's just terrible. It's just a waste of time. So when WGU said, we don't have those, and you don't have to do all the classes at the same time, you can do, as many or as few as you want at the time. And I was like, I'm sold. Where do I sign? Of course, when you have the GI Bill, it helps. So,
yeah.
But,
sure.
Doing that full-time school, got a wife and 4 kids, all of them under the age of 6. So it's a party every day. every day.
Absolutely.
And it starts at 7 a.m. no matter what time you went to bed. 7 or 8,
Cool.
8 the latest.
Cool. Well, getting back to the crypto stuff,
Yes.
because it seems to me like you have an insatiable desire to learn more. And that's one of the reasons I wanted to have you on. Just your interaction within the group on Facebook has been great. And we've started having discussions and some really great discussions. And so I thought I'd just ask you, what is it that excites you most about cryptocurrency and the cryptocurrency space and where it is today, versus like 2017?
Right. So 2017 was the time for the retail investors, and we were basically just learning about the volatility of this market and learning the hard way over and over and over. Um, but the cool thing about it all is that from then on, it's blockchain has still persisted. It doesn't matter what it is. The Bitcoin is probably the most basic form. I'd say it is the most basic form. It's just a distributed digital Excel spreadsheet that's encrypted, and it's being passed around. And what's amazing to me is that we've taken that idea and we're like, that's kind of boring. Let's make it better. And so we had Ethereum, and then we had Litecoin, and then we had Bitcoin Cash. Everybody likes to put down the forks, the hard forks. But the hard forks are people that are wanting to think outside the box when the original core development team didn't want to do anything. You notice that there's Bitcoin SV and all those other ones. Though that was people in the team saying, "Hey, are we going anywhere? Are we evolving? Are we changing with the times? Are we getting better?" And they're just like, "Nope, we're not. We're just the
Yeah.
same. If it's not broke, don't fix it." What do you mean if it's not broke?
Right.
So I'm fascinated by what the blockchain can bring to us. Not just from like a financial aspect, but when people have creative projects that are able to utilize blockchain to make things more efficient, outside of just stacking coins and making money and getting an interest rate.
Yeah.
It's awesome. There was one, I forget what it's called. I think it was something with beef. It was They were using the blockchain to verify that this beef is certified organic, and
Mm-hmm.
there's nothing you can say about it. And I thought that's just a cool thing, because I mean, how many times have we gone to the store and we're like, is it, we gotta,
Yeah.
we do so much research on that, well,
Yeah.
but this isn't really, this is more all natural. And we're like, what? Now there's a difference, so,
Yeah.
um, there was a lot of
IOHK
projects.
has a project called Atala, right? That is,
Yeah.
I think, or Prism anyway, that is all about that. It's supply chain tracking, and they're looking
Yes.
at helping beef farmers, but also uh, coffee bean growers in around the world.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, there's just a ton of real world problems that can be solved with blockchain and cryptocurrency.
Yeah.
Even things from protecting First Amendment rights,
Mm-hmm.
keeping content creators from being deplatformed or
Right.
demonetized, and like you said, tracking of inventory, and then all the DeFi. There's so many things. Yeah, there's really just sort of like this little bit of a revolution going on right now. I feel like within the space
Mm-hmm.
of innovative ingenuity that's creating some really cool stuff that
Yeah,
is gonna just capture a ton of value, I think. So
for
definitely
sure.
exciting.
For
Yeah.
sure. The financial market is just the start,
Yeah. And then
Um,
before you move on, I just want to go back and say, when you were talking about the 2017 versus now, and that ICO boom and craze and where things are at now, I sort of think it was like back in that day, it was like crypto was the Wild West, but it was the early
oh my
days of the
gosh.
Wild
Yeah.
West, where it was like
Yeah.
everybody was out in the streets dueling with and pulling pistols out on each other, and you may get shot, you might not, you might walk away with, the gold mine, you might, end up getting
Exactly.
claim jumped or whatever and shot between the eyes, and everything's stolen. And now
Yep.
it's like crypto's still the Wild West, but there's a sheriff in town, right? So it's like,
Yeah.
so there's a little
Yeah.
bit more of like rules, and obviously there's more regulation. Regulation has been clarified in a lot of different ways, but we still see some of that Wild West type of thing going on with like the rug pulls that we've seen of
mhm,
late. There's
mhm.
been, especially with liquidity farming, you
Yes.
know, the liquidity pools and some of these smart contracts being created, and then people will go in and they'll put Ethereum and they'll put another token in there to
Right.
mine to earn the yields, and then something goes
Right.
wrong with the smart. We saw that last week with the
Yeah.
BSC
With
smart chain,
Meerkat.
right? Meerkat, yeah.
Yeah.
Something goes wrong
Yeah.
with either there's an error in the smart contract, or it's actually just the development team, which I think
Yeah.
actually that one was interesting, because in that story they came out later on and said, oh yeah, no, we were just testing it, it wasn't true, and we're going to return everyone's funds, which I thought was like, oh my goodness, come on.
Oh
But
boy.
we have seen those rug
Jeez.
pulls, and that's about the closest thing we have right now to the ICO scams that were going on, but those are really limited by comparison. And so overall, this space has definitely matured a bit, I think, grown up a bit, and we're
Yeah.
seeing a lot less of fraudulent type of activity or rug pulls, or products just get created and soak up a bunch of money and then just kind of disappear, which is a good
Yeah.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah. From what, and I know we'll talk about this in a bit, but yeah, from what I've been seeing, it's very, it's like once in a blue moon, that, when I'm surfing the forums, and be like, yeah, they actually rug pulled, like they're gone.
Yeah.
Most of the time,
Yeah.
these new platforms that are the most volatile these days, are they their yields just go down drastically after they
Yeah.
spiked. It's so, it's normal. It's normal now. Everybody knows it. And if you're a long-term, hodler, it's just kind of like, it's just, yeah, just keep holding on. It doesn't worry about it. So, but
Well, and
I
one of the
definitely
ways I
agree.
think to protect yourself against some of those rug pull things is, if it's too good to be true, it probably is, right? So there was
Mhm.
this one that was called Katana. Katana.finance was the website, and it was a liquidity pool, mining, yield farming type of thing. And I played around with it. Like, I threw a few bucks into it just to test it out, because it was this insane return. So it was like an Katana pool, and you had an equal amount of equal amount of Katana,
Right.
go
Right.
to Uniswap, get a liquidity token, an LP token, right?
Yeah.
They're called, put it in a
Hmm.
liquidity pool over there, and then go, stake your Katana and your LP tokens
Right.
in the smart contract over at Katana. Well, so I did that, and for a while it's like, wow, this is crazy. You see your amount just going crazy. I mean, 13,000. It was 13. It
Yeah.
wasn't 1,300. It was 13,000% APY, right?
Yep. I believe
However,
it.
about 3-4 weeks in, the website is gone, vanished. The Telegram account is no longer. Discord gone. Facebook gone. Everything just gone. And it was rug pull, and that's exactly what happened. Was
Yep.
and they'll say that they've had the smart contract audited, but that doesn't bring that much assurance, really.
No.
And
No.
this is an issue within that realm that
Hmm.
needs to be addressed. I think Cardano and has actually some answers to prevent that, just with the way custody is going to happen with these types of DeFi things. But right now, that's about the only thing that I'm aware of that is kind of semi-prevalent within the space, that people have to really be careful of, in terms of it being like a scam, right? I mean,
Yeah.
obviously there's going to be other scams going on where people are going to be, like, your computer's been hacked, you're on Windows and you can't close down your screen, and they say,
Right.
in order to close down your screen and get, send us Bitcoin. Like, that stuff always happens, and phishing attacks
Right.
through
Hmm.
emails and things like that.
Pretty much.
But yeah, it just doesn't seem like there's as much going on, and so
It's
that's a
not.
good thing. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, I think it was we just don't have a lot of that. We don't have a lot of rug pulls. We don't have a lot of
Mm.
exchanges getting exploited anymore. I mean, it's
Right.
like a couple of times a year we're like, oh, you know, and some exchanges can, some exchanges like Binance, however you feel about Binance, some exchanges can actually give their people back their coin, or at least the value of it. Some of them can't. A lot of them can't.
Yeah.
They're just
Yeah.
like, sorry.
Yeah.
Because when that happened with Meerkat, I mean, obviously Meerkat's not an exchange, but that, I read it was, it was a hack. It was somebody taking it, and then they lit out through PancakeSwap because it's a decentralized. It's not controlled by one entity, and it's Binance is weird. But and then then everybody's like, what's going on, Meerkat? And then no answer, crickets. So it's just. Yeah, even though there's definitely no rug pulls, or there's not as many rug pulls anymore. Don't play around in that space. If you have money you're willing to lose, that's for sure.
Yeah, exactly. Good point.
You treat it like a game, not like investing. It's yeah.
So far, Uniswap has a pretty good reputation, but
yeah,
what you said is good advice. Don't mess around with anything where you've given over custody of your tokens. I mean, I think the same really holds true for even some of the more reputable centralized companies like BlockFi, right? Or Celsius even.
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, if something catastrophic happens on their end to their database or to their company or whatever, there's no assurances. There's no insurance. FDIC doesn't cover it or anything else like that. So you could definitely be out. And so, Abra is another one, BlockFi, Celsius. There seems like there's more and more of these coming on board, and they have some really great returns.
Right.
You can earn 10% or more on stable coins, 8% typically on Ethereum or Bitcoin, that sort of thing. But the issue there is you have to give up custody. So you're giving those tokens over to them. And if you don't have custody, I mean, it's the same thing with exchanges, right? If your tokens are on the exchange, anything can happen, or many things can happen that can prevent you from getting access to that. And there's nothing you can do about it. So it's important to always self-custody.
Yeah.
I think in the future, we're going to see some solutions that will allow for doing some really cool DeFi type of things like lending. And obviously Bitcoin has the multi-sig thing. And there's some good solutions with that where, your coins maybe do get locked up, but there's a third signature that also has to be given in order to release them. And so there can be some protections sort of built in where, there's no, it guards against that centralized or third party that's involved from trying to run off, because they can't run off without your approval. Like everybody has to agree to it, kind of thing. So anyway.
BlockFi is I'm just kind of anything that comes out of anything that can make it out of New York, even if it's centralized, that's a pretty big win, because that is a super hard state to work with. So I think that's why BlockFi partnered with the Gemini exchange and the Winklevoss twins, because, well, they've been in this game for a long time. They bought in, I think it was 2014? They bought 11,000 Bitcoin or something. I mean, basically they're worth, if they haven't sold their Bitcoin, they're worth $8 billion in that asset alone. Right. So, and then 90% of their exchange is on cold storage. And then the other 10% is just, for fluctuations and all that. And they're very well established. I'll give them that. But I agree. The change from centralized to decentralized, when we can actually have, 5 to 8% returns on a strong decentralized platform that is, has a really good support team behind it, is going to change the game.
Well, and you can already get that with a lot of proof of stake platforms. Anywhere, even some of them up to 20% returns, currently. And obviously that's in the token. So then you're also subject to price fluctuation of the underlying token, but that can actually work in your favor,
Exactly. I try to look at it from a Buffett or Munger perspective. I try to keep my portfolio less than 10, because if I'm too spread out, I'm all over the place, and then there's really not much gains. It's just kind of, I don't know, but there's something to be said about that mentality, because if you're diversifying too much, do you actually understand about everything that you're into?
Right.
Mark Cuban said it a little bit more mean, diversification is for idiots. It's okay, but leave it to him.
Well, I have one friend, he's done well with an indexing strategy. So he has, I think the way he does it is he has the majority in Bitcoin, maybe 40%, and then the rest of his portfolio is spread out across the top 10 coins, which of course is constantly changing. So you end up having some large positions in, coins that are number 12 or 15 or whatever, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, if you really want to take a super lazy approach and not do any research, you can do that, and it's kind of like dollar cost averaging in a way. I mean, over time, you're still gonna do well. I mean, especially since currently the cryptocurrency market has not deleveraged from Bitcoin. So when Bitcoin number goes up, the rest of them go up. Although there's an interesting thing that I've observed about that, and I mention it often on the videos and podcasts, is that, and maybe you've seen this too, is that if Bitcoin goes up 5%, a lot of the altcoins will go up 10, 15, 20%. And then when Bitcoin goes down 5%, the altcoins do the same. But they're lagging. So it's almost like Bitcoin's a leading indicator. And so, if you're a trader, I'm not a trader. I'm like you, more of a fundamental analysis type of investor, where I'm going to go out, I'm going to research the coin, I'm going to look at the team, I'm going to look at the technology, I'm going to look at the marketing capability. Like, do they have resources and money to market it? Do they have a big community? Is it a really solid, project in all those areas? And if it is, just get in and hold, and hodl, be a hodler, and just, and wait for the, and I mean, the other thing about trading is that once the IRS declared cryptocurrencies to be commodities, essentially, right, property, then every time you trade, you're subject to a capital gains tax. It's like they knew what they were doing when they did that, because if you comply with that, it'll just eat you up, basically,
Yeah.
Whereas if you buy and hold, you're looking at a long-term capital gains tax, which is much less as a percentage, closer to 15% rather than 30 or more for short term. So
it's unless you're out of Wyoming or something, or you make your LLC out of Wyoming.
Well, you don't have state income tax then, but you're still subject to the federal capital gains and income taxes. So that's still concerned. But it's they definitely made it a little bit harder. I think in the beginning, people had the expectation that crypto would be viewed more like real estate. And if you sell a home and you buy another and you get a like kind asset, then you weren't subject to capital gains taxes. And that really would make sense, because, unlike stocks, in a stock, you sell Tesla, you're selling it for dollars. You earn a profit, and you have a profit, and so there's capital gains. You actually had some capital gains, some US dollar capital gains, and then you go buy another stock, or you don't. But with crypto, like you are changing like kind assets and never going into dollars. So it's just an accounting nightmare. I mean, but it's also one of the ways that they can prevent crypto being used as a payment, as an actual currency, because same thing. Like why would you want to buy a cup of coffee with Bitcoin if you also have to pay a capital gains tax if the Bitcoin's gone up from the time you bought it, right? It just becomes super complicated. But that's not accidental. That's just a creative and clever way of, now, I mean, PayPal is launching a product in which they're going to be having, actually Venmo is actually going to be having, which is talking about this in today's podcast. They're going to have crypto incorporated in now, and they might just sort of seamlessly streamline all of that, where, you can say, and this is kind of exciting, as some of the other products are going this direction too. You can literally go buy a cup of coffee and use Venmo, which is just like using a debit card or anything, right? I mean, everybody's familiar with using that, and then it'll automatically pull whatever proportion of crypto you want out of your portfolio and use that to make the purchase. But then they also automatically keep track of all of what capital gains are doing, all that sort of thing. And at the end of the year, you'll get, your tax documents from them and be able to make sure you pay. So
I'm fine with that. Like, I mean, like if you know what's coming and you're getting the documentation at the end of the year, I'm not only fine with that, I think that's great, because that saves me a lot of time. I'm just like, figuring out where I'm standing with the IRS. So
absolutely.
Those platforms that came out.
I agree.
That's oh gosh. There's multiple. I know there's a handful of those platforms out now that take, you connect your exchanges and wallets, and then they turn them into, actual like like dollar valued, and then they chronologically put in order, and then they put it into the tax documents ready for you to go at the end of the year. It's just like, holy cow, this is amazing.
Well, yeah, I don't think, I mean, the vast majority of people that are into crypto aren't trying to avoid taxes. Of course, we'd like lower taxes. I mean, nobody, none of us are happy about having, a large amount of our wealth just like taken, right? But at the same time, I mean, most people are not trying to avoid taxes. It just becomes incredibly burdensome when either there's ambiguity about how you're supposed to properly do things when it comes to taxes, and or it's just impossible to keep track of it. I mean, so anyway, but enough about that. I thought I'd just jump in and take a look at the prices of CoinMarketCap while we're doing this. And let's see here, get that screen. Let's see where things sit. What do you think? Does that sound like something
sounds
fun
great
to do real quick? Can you see?
Yep.
Can you see that there?
Yep.
All right. So, hey, look at this. We've got a bunch of green in the market. Yes. So Bitcoin is currently $51,815, up 3.48%. That's nice. Obviously, recently it seemed like for, I don't know, the last 4 or 5, maybe 6 days, it was struggling to get back up to the $50,000 mark. So what do you think? Do you think, I mean, I know a lot of people are saying if we saw it cross back up 50 and hold for a number of candles, or, which has done more than that, we're like on our way to 75. Any thoughts?
I'm more conservative when it comes to Bitcoin because there's the players in the scene now are massive. And me, in my humble opinion, I'm just hoping for at least sideways movement until like we get to the fall. Because I know when we hit fall, fall time, the closer and closer we get to Christmas, it's nuts. It's like everybody starts buy. And it just, but I mean, I don't doubt that we can hit 75. Now, when? I mean, could it be this year? Yeah, it can be this year. We went from, what was it at the beginning of the year? 40, 20? I can't remember.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we were around January, you're saying? Yeah, we were probably, well, I'll just pull it up real quick, but I think we were, at least 40, if not, let's see.
We're sitting here guessing. We have a chart.
1 year. Yeah, I'll just pull it up and get back in January. We're looking at 48. Let's see, December 25th. December 25th, we were at 42. On January 1, if I can get the mouse there, we were at, man, you called it, nailed it, 40,776 on January 1st.
Hey,
but yeah, I mean, I agree with you. Like I've been saying repeatedly that, if you look at what happened in 2017, of course, it seems like, well, I should pull that chart back up again, but it seems like we're having these 4-year cycles, right? Yeah. And so 2013, 2017, we had this huge run up to, close to $20,000 at the high. Then we came back down.
Look how small it was though.
Yeah. Holy compared to now. Yeah. And
we thought it felt like we were at the top. It felt like we were at the moon, and then we came crashing down, and now we're just going even higher. I mean, man.
Yeah. And if you go back to December 2nd, 2013, it hit 1,000. 1,035, and I'm sure everybody was freaking out of it. Everybody's in the Starbucks like, Bitcoin's $1,000, right? Kidding, it's like half of the price of gold or something. Actually, gold might have been up. No, it probably was about or close to the price of gold. We'd have to go look at the price of gold, but if I recall, gold might have been more like 2. I don't know. I don't remember, but then 2017, and then you go another 4 years, and boom, here we are. I've been saying, because in 2017 it was March 12th, which is what, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 4 days from now, we had what they call Black Thursday, where Bitcoin dropped 50%. See on the chart there, you can see that that's a huge drop.
Yep.
Boom. And I feel like if we make it through the month of March, with just going sideways
Yeah.
and we don't see a big drop, man, we might see Bitcoin double this
Yeah.
year.
That's
I don't know. I don't like
exactly
to make
my,
price predictions, but it's going to be a very good sign if it doesn't drop this month.
yeah.
Significantly.
Yeah, we need more sideways action because we need to establish a better foundation for the next run.
Yeah.
I don't want to keep going up and up and up and up and up. We're basically
Not too
just
much, right? Yeah.
yeah,
Because
like
then we've got a bubble and it's
nothing to
everything
stand
that goes
on.
up like that comes down. And yeah,
It's like throwing a
absolutely.
rock in the air when you're like 6. It's
Right.
gonna come down. It might hit you.
But this might be a good time to ask this question. How we've already alluded a little bit to some of the differences potentially between 2017 and the bull run then to this bull run. What do you think is different, or is it the same? We have the same expectation, or are there fundamental reasons why it could be different this time?
To me, it's different this time because we actually have the attention of Wall Street. We have the attention of the hedge funds. We have the attention of giant retirement firms and and the investors now that used to be that were in the space in 2017 are, like we said, a lot more mature, and they know what to look for. They know what to stay away from. We know that if the team behind a coin is not public, we're not really going to put our coins there, really. Not unless it's just for gambling purposes, like Binance Smart Chain DeFi. Let's just what we're doing, because we have been burned so much in the past by anonymous teams that have just left, and we're like, oh well, I guess that wasn't legit, and looking at the chart, I was looking at 2017, and then I was looking at the spike now, and I'm like, okay, 2017 is a small minority of our population.
Oh, yeah.
And actually, I should say global, because it's not just US, but
No.
a very, very, very small minority of our global population, pumping that up to 20,000. And now we have financial institutions getting into it from all over the world. And we've basically tripled that height, I think, at least, if not quadrupled. I mean, it's ridiculous. And I think what's going to happen in the future is that as more and more people get into it, whether it's institutional or retail, there's going to be changes in how there's going to be small incremental changes over time on how it's actually regulated. Because I think what we're getting this knee-jerk response from the government, and they're scared because it's something that's outside of their control. They're 5 years behind on catching up on people reporting their taxes in crypto. They can't keep up. They don't understand how all of it works, because yeah, sure. It literally took them at least 5 years to wrap their heads around Bitcoin. And now we have thousands of others that don't all do the same thing. And they got to figure out, okay, wait, what is this now? How do we regulate this? So they're just like, hey, just tell us you got some. And if you don't tell us you got some, and we find out you do have some and you didn't tell us, that's who they're looking for right now. Yeah, the regulations, they're there. Pretty much most transactions in crypto world are taxable, except for when you buy. It's going to happen. Now, whether they're going to have the time to do anything about it, I highly doubt it. But everything new is going to have a lot of resistance. I mean, we're seeing it every day. There's always some other news anchorman that thinks they understand finances and or crypto better than their guests that are on. And it's just, it's funny. I love watching it, actually. It's great. Because they keep asking these cornering and obvious questions, and you're just like, no, you don't understand how any of this works. You just watch a certain portion. I don't even know where they're getting their information, honestly.
Yeah, it reminds me of 99bitcoins.com, which is the
Oh
running
yeah.
tally of the obituaries of proclamations that Bitcoin is dead, right? And yet,
Oh, that's a good one. You brought that up, and I remember reading an article that said Bitcoin was pronounced dead over 13 times on the internet.
yeah,
And these articles that
been
came
more, yeah,
out, and I'm like, it's still here,
it's
bro.
been more than that. But when I think about the difference between 2017 and now, the similarities would be the only similarities that I can find would be that in 2017 we had the ICO craze thing happening where
Yeah.
all of these tokens were being released on Ethereum, and it was genius because Ethereum created a way for developers to create their own tokens and then smart contracts. And so Ethereum was going to be the global computing, computer of the world. And everybody was super excited. And so there were all
Yeah.
these ICOs, and they were offering coins, and people were going to, was it My Ether wallet, I think, back in the day, or
I
one of
don't
them that's not
even
even in
remember.
existence anymore. I think that's what it was called. And they were, getting getting the Ethereum, and then they were, well, they'd get Bitcoin, the entry coin, and then they get Ethereum, and then they go buy the ICO token, right? And some people
Mm-hmm.
they're just, fantastic stories that were just pulling retail people into the space like crazy. Because I remember seeing guys back there like, yeah, I got into this token or whatever, and I made, $90,000, overnight, and I cashed out, and I look at the house I just bought or whatever, It was super
Wow.
exciting, but the bottom fell out of that when the SEC started to hint at things like, these might be unregistered securities and people might be going to jail. Now, I don't know exactly how much of an impact that had on causing the crash or the end of that bull run. There might have just been other forces in play because, like I can't pretend to guess to know why any market does what it does per se. I mean, we can look at influences and factors and try to guesstimate, but
Yeah.
then so that was happening back then. The only thing that's similar to that, and we've already talked this a little bit earlier, was the liquidity mining, the liquidity farming type of things, and the rug pulls that are happening with that, and some of the problems with those smart contracts being vulnerable to hacking attacks and people losing funds that way. Um, Other similarities between 2017 and today, uh, there really aren't that many. The differences, well, one would be something that I see right now is there is a certain amount of FOMO that's being caused by some of the celebrities, Elon Musk,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? Snoop Dogg, Gene Simmons,
Gene Simmons.
who's the other one? Oh, Mark Cuban,
Mark
right?
Cuban.
These guys, like, I don't even think it's intentional necessarily, but just having fun. So there's this thing going on Twitter right now where like everybody's punking everybody, and it's just like, I think that's what's going on is these guys, it's like a global like punk, like Mark
Uh-huh.
Cuban's out there and like, yeah, but my son Dogecoin, and
Oh
everybody's like, oh,
gosh.
Cuban is like the billionaire advocating Dogecoin. That's not what he's doing. Like I've heard him on other podcasts saying he doesn't own any Dogecoin. He's all about NFTs. He's a big Ethereum fan and some of these other projects. But
Yeah, he's
anyway,
huge into Ethereum.
yeah, exactly. And the same thing with Musk. Musk doesn't have any Dogecoin, and Tesla bought all the while they're talking about Dogecoin, they're buying Bitcoin, right? So I mean, whether it
100.
was diversionary or not, I'm not going to go to that extent. But anyway, I see that as a similarity. A lot of retail people were piling into the space because they were at work, and some guy says, "Dude, you got to get into Dogecoin. I bought it at 0.001 cents, and it just hit 4 cents, and I made a ton of money." And so people are. I mean, I remember it was like the same day when the meme went nuts. I think it must have been Musk's meme went out. I had like 5 people call me that morning. Hey, what's Doge? Is it any good? How do I get Doge? And I'm like,
Oh
well,
man.
40% of the entire supply is owned by like 20 addresses. So there's some massive whales that could dump at any point in time, destroy the market in an instant. It's super
Mhm.
inflationary. There's anyway, there's all kinds of problems with Doge, which I've talked about incessantly, probably too much. I'm getting tired of it. I mean, ultimately, those people, any pump and dump that's celebrity driven and driven by FOMO is going to crash at some point, and most people are going to get burned. Now, can it go up a lot more because there's this network effect being driven by new people coming in. Sure. And that's only because the space is still so small, like cryptocurrency as a whole. The whole market is so tiny in relation to the whole economy that, yeah, there's a bunch of new victims to suck in and take their money until until somebody dumps on the thing. But anyway, that's the only similarity I see. But the differences between 2017 and now, and you talked about a lot of them, are we've got the institutional investors coming in. So we've got like Tesla, $1.5 billion. We got Saylor with MicroStrategy. It's just like Michael Saylor.
Man, he's preaching
attacking
the word.
dollar, you know?
Yeah, literally.
Literally by taking on debt, as much debt as possible, you know, and it's interesting because one of the reasons he's been able to do this is because the SEC and the US government did declare cryptocurrency to be assets, right, rather than currencies. Or so that means that a company like Saylor's can create an offering and raise a bunch of money and go buy the asset because it's just an asset, right? So that might end up being one of the worst things they did if they were trying to sort of stamp out and quell Bitcoin. But anyway, we've got that going on. We got Grayscale with its funds that are massive and huge, and they keep buying and buying and buying and buying. And then we've got the CME now has Bitcoin futures, and nobody even talks about Backed anymore. But that was
what's up with that?
Isn't it funny? I know, I haven't heard about Backed.
That was all the rage. It was like 2000. It was around 2017 or something.
It was like the first sign of big time institutional investing coming in. But then you got Dorsey and Jay-Z creating this fund. I don't know. I think it was 500 Bitcoin or something like this for India and Pakistan.
Yep. No, it was $500 million in Bitcoin for Africa.
$500 million. Just another example. You've got Dorsey. I mean, you know, Dorsey's raising some kind of money right now, which might be for Bitcoin. So everywhere you look. So this is totally different than 2017. And a lot of these, you know, are institutional investors that are purchasing to hold in their portfolio. They're not purchasing to trade. So that's a good sign for things being different this time around. And then there's just regulatory clarity like there never was before. You know, almost all the exchanges. Oh, another thing would be Coinbase's coming IPO, right? So all of that to say, I'm trying to think if I've forgotten anything, but with everything you said, and I just reiterating some of it, it looks like 2017 might be, 2021, this current bull run might be a completely different beast. And boy, that would be exciting if it is. And that's kind of my gut feeling, is that what we were saying earlier is we might just we might see this pause through this season, which is typically a down season for crypto.
Spring has always been slow, man. It's always been slow.
And then we might just see I don't know, but the way it's going,
come October,
Taylor keeps doing what he's doing, and come October, November, December next year, Merry Christmas.
Everybody. I don't know, what is it? What is it about that? It's just baffled. We keep going through that. You know, we get to October.
I don't know. It's irrational exuberance, and everybody starts drinking the wassail with some. I don't know, what do they put in the wassail to? What kind of alcohol do you put in wassail? I don't even know.
I saw. Did I share that? Did I share that meme with you of that person that's dressed up like an astronaut and he's sleeping on like one queen mattress and there's nothing else in his room? And the caption was, "This is what it looks like when you put everything into Bitcoin." Yes, you did. You sent that meme to me. Nothing in the room.
That was hilarious. I loved it. All right, so going back to the market here, I like what's going on here. Ethereum is just tearing it up right now.
Yeah.
$1,800.14, up 8.32 in the last 24 hours, 17% in the last 7 days. Obviously, it seems to me like this is a news-driven event. It's because of this EIP 1559, which is purportedly going to solve the problem of high transaction fees, which I've done some reading about it. I haven't really had the time to dive deep into it yet, but it seems to be good for the users. It seems to be good for the developers. It seems to be good for, Uniswap and everything else, but a little bit negative, of course, for the for the miners, and the miners are not particularly happy about it. Something like 60% of the miners are protesting at this point. And
Yeah.
I don't know that there's
Yeah.
much that they can do about it, but obviously, you know, there's the other side to that. The other token of that is there's not much danger. Well, when it comes to Ethereum mining, right, it's GPU mining for the most part. I mean, there are some ASICs out there, I guess now for Ethash, but you can mine. The only other things that you can mine that are even close, I think the second closest thing right now is like BitTube, and it's probably, I don't know, 10% less earnings or something like that. So if the rate of, you know, if the mining rewards drop enough to go below that, there is the possibility that all those miners just, I mean, miners are, you know, they just want to make profits. They're not
Yeah.
necessarily beholding to, so they might go to another token. So, I mean, there could be issues with that, obviously. You know, this is an incredible challenge that Ethereum is facing in trying to solve these problems and transition from proof of work to proof of stake. And, you know, the issue in my mind is, can they do it, and can they get it right, and can they do it fast enough to not lose all of that network effect and early mover advantage that they have enjoyed to the other platforms. And
it's
my guess would be that if anything, they're going to be able to sort of hold parity at the end of the day with some of the other up and coming platforms. And that would be maybe a good thing, because I believe competition is always good.
It's great.
But I'm not even certain about that. You know, I mean, time will tell, but it's just like, you know, I've always related it to, it's much harder to, you know, if you've got a ship sailing in one direction, to stop that thing, turn around and get it moving another direction is a lot harder than when you're just starting out in the right direction, kind of thing, you know, or maybe a train would be a better illustration. I don't know, but what are your thoughts about that?
So it's kind of a double-edged sword being a first mover in the crypto world from my perspective, because yeah, you set the bar, but you know, they people are quick to find the holes and then look right on the chart. Who's right behind Ethereum? It's Binance. Why?
Yeah.
For simple reason. For one, and and however you feel about Binance, as I know that people are split on it, it's all right, and that's good. It's cheap transactions fees. Now, then you have behind them, and the only reason why Cardano is in the fifth place, in my opinion, is Tether is just propped up to me.
Oh yeah, so we don't really need to count Tether. So really, yeah, I mean, it's got a market cap, and that's why it's there. But it's a stable coin. So yeah, I mean, I would, yeah, I'd classify Cardano as being in the number 3 spot right now. And look, it's what is Binance is 36 bill and Cardano's 35, and it just dropped there. But that's just because Cardano had a little drop. It'll be back at 3.
But I like that I like competition. I think it's great. I'm really interested on what Ethereum is going to do, you know, past ETH 2.0, because they're gonna have to think of something. I mean, if they don't, you know, they're gonna be flipped by I don't know who, and I'm hoping it's Cardano. You know, I don't know how much longer the Binance craze will last. You know, the fees are getting slightly higher. We're still under $1.
But no, Binance is basically a clone of Cardano. They use the EVM, the same smart contracts and Solidity and everything. So my expectation with Binance would be that if it were to grow to the same size, it would have similar transaction fees and similar problems. Although they might be able to fix those problems more easily, because
CZ said he's willing to. He's like, you know, as long as we're going to keep trying to fix them as we go. We don't want to be like Ethereum and being caught off guard, and we have 2 other competitors right on our heels. Yeah. So, but I'm super bullish on Cardano, because it's so much more than just what Ethereum is doing in DeFi. I mean, it's the governance. To me, it's a governance titan. You know, they're going to change the world.
Yeah, I agree. I think Catalyst, which is the best way to describe it, is sort of like a DAO, a decentralized autonomous organization, that allows the holders and the users to finance new projects and new developers, sort of like a GoFundMe. Yeah. And and receive rewards for doing it. Like, I don't know if most people have caught on to that yet, but like if you get into the Catalyst and you download the app on your phone and connect it to your Daedalus wallet and you start voting for what projects you want to be developed, those developers are going to get funds to make it happen. And then you get rewarded for that too. And so, I mean, already there's something like, last time I checked, there was 80,000 people that had registered on Catalyst, downloaded the app and all that sort of thing. And yeah, I think that part of it's going to be huge. I mean, so many of the things that we talked about already today about Bitcoin and its issues, and, you know, there's been contentious splits with Bitcoin Cash and BSV and others. And then there's always issues when they, you know, with SegWit, that was very contentious. And now they're actually talking about Taproot and how do we do that? And do we get that?
Where is Bitcoin Cash? It used to be like chilling at number 5. And now it's like, no.
Bitcoin Cash is, it's number 11.
Oh, it's okay.
It's number 11.
Okay. We're not on the first page. It's on the first page, but
yeah. Yeah.
Roger, isn't that Roger Vere's?
It's Roger Ver that basically was the one that was pushing.
Did you ever watch the documentaries of like way back in the day when they were still on the Bitcoin, like OG team, and they were in Japan? Roger was going up to like every stinking person. It's like, do you know about Bitcoin? Oh yeah. Do you know about it? Like, hey, download the wallet. Let me send you some Bitcoin. Like,
listen, I like Roger Ver. Like, I mean, I like his passion, you know. I mean, I've seen him sometimes. It's kind of like, okay, Roger, tone it down a bit.
Calm down.
But the dude did more to promote Bitcoin than any other person. I mean, he bought billboards on the 101 freeway. I think it was in LA. And I mean, the guy just like gave his life practically to promoting Bitcoin. And then when the Bitcoin Cash thing happened, that was kind of sad to see. And, you know, that's a huge debate still. I mean, to go into is whether the right thing happened with that or not, or what. But yeah, the issue though, where we're going with this was that Bitcoin, Ethereum, you know, the problems that they're great. Some people consider it to be a feature of Bitcoin that is very difficult to bring changes to the code and to update the network. And that could be true. I mean, it's sort of like that's comparable to one of the features of the United States that's made it great is that our government is highly inefficient. You know, people will talk about gridlock and all sorts of things, but it's also like a good thing but it can have its negatives. And, you know, when it comes to these cryptos, Ethereum, the same thing, just the governance mechanism just wasn't there to address problems that need to be addressed. And so you had this split with Ethereum Classic also. So, you know, Cardano, I think Polkadot is doing a pretty good job with that. And some of these other newer ones, they realized like a huge component that Satoshi Nakamoto, being as brilliant as he was in creating Bitcoin, just didn't foresee that there needed to be this governance mechanism to go along with. And so that part of it is very exciting. It's good stuff.
Yeah, I need to research more into that because, you know, I'm seeing a pattern, and I know you can agree, because look, those people came from Ethereum. Well, Charlie actually came from Bitcoin, then he went to Ethereum, and now he's in Cardano. Look where Cardano's at, number 5. And then I know Polkadot's, what's his name, Dr.
Yeah, Gavin Wood was he's down now. He is undeniably brilliant and one of the co-founders of Ethereum, the inventor and custodian of the Solidity smart contract programming language.
Yeah,
so
it's not like somebody that was like on the second string just left the team. I mean, that was wow.
I would say Polkadot is definitely a contender, but my sort of quick and dirty analysis on that, just because I can't resist saying this, but you know, I don't like to say things until I can like provide rock solid evidence, you know. But I think I've gotten into it enough to say this fairly confidently. But you know, I'll say this with a caveat that if I change my mind later on, don't hold it against me, right? But
don't quote me.
But I feel like, you know, Woods is incredible. His team there, the substrate, that system that they created, which allows developers to just like very quickly with few lines of code launch a token, is good. Although it is interesting, you know, Cardano is going to have the ability to create native tokens like within Daedalus. Like almost anyone can do it, and almost anyone. I think that when I first realized that, I was like, whoa, this could be stinking huge. I mean, because I'm a graphic designer, that's what my business is. And I've written things, and the idea though that you can just like go produce a piece of art, music, ebook, whatever, go into the Daedalus wallet eventually, assign an NFT to it, and then sell it, and and protect it that way, but also there's some big stuff there, like possible potential. But going back to the Polkadot thing, I feel like Polkadot might have done what the error that they might have fallen to was what I think happened with Ethereum. I think Ethereum was just like brilliant, obviously, and revolutionary and transformative, but there was like this excitement and exuberance. It was just like, we got to get this done, so it's like building your tower, building your house without doing the due diligence to say, well, should we make sure that it's not on soft, that it's not built over a sinkhole, or or we need to get this done quickly, so let's not put studs every 16 inches, let's put a stud every 5 feet, this sort of thing. But because we got to get it done fast, because if we don't get it done, then the guy next to us might get his house up faster and sell it before we sell ours. And so there's some things about Polkadot that I just feel like I wish. But see, the problem is nobody wants to do what Cardano did, which is take like 5 years to develop a product, because then everybody's saying, well, there's no product, there's no whatever. But that methodological scientific approach, like, we're going to test everything. We're going to make sure the quality assurance is there. We're going to get it peer reviewed, like you said. We're going to, go out to the greatest minds in the universities around the world that are experts in their given fields. And we're going to try to break the thing as much as we possibly can before we launch it. Instead of move fast and break things after they're already running well. You can do that in Silicon Valley. You can do that when you're building an app for, using the traditional tech stack, and that's going to go in the app store. But you can't do that in blockchain, because once the thing is in the wild, it's incredibly difficult to make changes to it then, right? And so that's just where I think Cardano kind of has an edge against the others. And, obviously it's detractors
have the perfect analogy for Cardano.
Yeah.
It's like the Kalashnikov. You throw it in the mud, douse it in water, put sand in it, it still shoots. Because he spent so much time. He said 90 peer review papers later, after being shredded, and then you're like, okay, all right. And then because they don't care about how much money they're going to make. They weren't invested in it. They wanted to know, does this work? And they put him through the ringer. And so props to Charlie, man. And now, we're looking to a future to where, and it's funny because I don't know how many of Charlie's videos you watch on his YouTube channel, because he has those little short ones that he'll just come on, hey, I'm on the air, I'm gonna be on for like 10 minutes, and boom, the AMAs. I haven't watched the AMAs, but I like watching his like 6 to 25 minute videos, because those are more of like what's he's thinking, what's his mindset, his motivations and stuff like that. That's really inspiring. And he was just like, I was a mathematician, I still am, but I was, it's my primary thing. And he's like, being a mathematician, it stinks. It's boring. Nobody cares about what you do unless they, understand it, and nobody understands it. So they're not looking at it. And he's like, Cardano is making the possibility that in the future you can tokenize your skills, where you can actually get recognition for what you're doing, and you're not relying on this centralized, where there's, what I'm talking about in our society, where there's just parts of our society that get so much more attention than other parts, for the simple fact that, of how much exposure we have to different things, and how open they are. And I think it's another great thing about this blockchain technology. It's bringing to light a lot of different practical things and skills that we're like, what, we can do that. So it's awesome.
Absolutely. All right, I am going to move us on to another subject really quickly here.
Sure.
Something that we had talked about talking about earlier on. I'm going to share my screen again and pull up this website for this project or company. I don't know what we would
whatever it is. I don't know.
What do we want to call this thing?
Entity?
Forsage. Yeah. We've talked a bit about rug pulls and the ICO things that were happening in 2017 and different scams and ways that people can get hurt. What have you found out about Forsage that would be concerning to you, or is there no concern with it?
Forsage, so basically, with what I know and how Forsage works, I would rather take my chances with the Binance Smart Chain DeFi scene.
Okay.
I would rather take my chances with impermanent loss.
Well, you're going to have to explain about, you're going to have to explain that as well after you talk about Forsage.
I've been waiting.
Unless we should jump into the Binance Smart Chain first.
We will. We'll get there. And the reason why is because this thing, it doesn't even have a native token.
Right.
They don't even have anything to offer. BitConnect and Devore from the ICO days and all those, they actually had a token that they would offer. They're literally just, when you go up to try to register for this, they're already asking you to purchase 500 Tron and split it between 2 websites. So first, red flag, you want me to just straight up, I didn't even get to see the dashboard that I would see as an investor or whatever.
Okay.
And they were already saying, you got to buy 500 Tron before you get in. I was like, what?
Yeah. Here I'm seeing it says 0.05 ETH to join.
Yeah. What?
Yeah.
Okay. And the whole referral thing. And I'm like,
so what's kind of the gist of it? Is it that you join and then you start telling all your friends and family and you send out the referral links, and if the other people
you make
join,
Thanksgiving awkward and slightly annoying, oh, Josiah's come over, he's going to be talking about Forsage, just ignore him.
But you don't get any shampoo when you put money in, right?
What I'm wondering is this Forsage? Is this a play on words? What is it? I don't know. Forsage. I'm not sure. But all I know is
so then you put the money in. You tell people about it. They sign up. They put their money in, and then you start getting paid back money. Just for referring people. There's no product. There's no.
I didn't see anything about product.
There's no DeFi. Service. There's no. Okay.
No DeFi. I didn't see anything like that because I wasn't willing to shill 500 Tron just to get in there to see what was up. That's just
all funds are transferred between members. They're knowing it. So this kind of sounds like the classic, physical mail scheme where, you receive something in the mail, it has $1 in it, you send out $2 and whatever, you get $4 back. And it's just like taking from the new people coming in and giving to the people that came in before them. So
what was those? They had those all over the place on the internet now where they're like, give us, they would make fake like YouTube accounts and they would take a video that was a legit video, they put it on their account, they play the video, and then in the description be like, send 1 ETH to this address and we'll send you back 5. And I'm just like, whatever, dude. Like, yeah.
Yeah. So apparently the Forsage smart contract, from something I read months ago, I looked into this a little bit because people were asking me about it. And I was just like, this does not look good. It is, capturing a lot of Ethereum and I guess Tron now as well. And that's it sounds like what's happening is it's going to be great for the people who come in early, and then the people on the tail end are going to get, wrecked. So definitely has all the sort of telltale signs of something to watch out for, it seems like to me. And when I looked into it before, that was sort of my conclusion at the time. So, but moving on, let's talk about this Binance Smart Chain. Like I didn't know that was something you want to talk. I'm kind of excited to hear what you had to say about that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I don't.
it just shot up out of, like a couple weeks ago. Suddenly, Binance's token whatever Binance coin goes from
Binance
wherever
Coin,
it
yeah,
was
they have
15
all
to
kinds of
number
stuff.
15 to market cap, and then now it's at number 3. So what's going on? What's going on? What have you found out about that?
Um, so basically, Binance created their own DeFi space, and they said, "Hey, our fees are like less than $1. I think it's like 30 cents or something. It's just ridiculously low." Um, and so it's a separate network because if you look at the Binance coin, the BNB coin, it's on the BEP2 network,
Yeah.
and you buy that, and you have to actually, I don't know why, if they mean convert literally or like just swap over to the Binance Smart Chain, which is on
Yeah.
the BEP20 network. And then from there, that's when you're in the Binance DeFi sort of scene. And I mean, it's literally, like I said, it's a clone of, some would say Ethereum. I know you said it was a clone of Cardano, but it looks a
No,
lot
no, not
like
Cardano.
Ethereum to
Ethereum.
me.
It is Ethereum. It uses the Ethereum virtual machine. It uses Solidity. So like I just shared the screen and pulled up. This is what you're talking about here. This is a Binance bridge where
Yep.
you can transfer tokens from the Ethereum ERC20
Mm-hmm.
token protocol over to the BEP20 that you're talking about. You can,
Yeah, that's the Binance Smart
smart chain
Network. Yeah.
network,
Yep.
right? And it's
Yep.
interesting because you can even set it up to work within MetaMask
Yep.
and very
It's
similar to,
yeah, it's a lengthy process, but if you get it to work with MetaMask, it's handy.
right.
And there's just a lot going on. It's basically, I mean, every day I see, every day or two I see or hear about a new project, coming out. Pancake Swap has been around since like the beginning. They're
Yeah.
them and Binance are like two peas in a pod.
Yeah.
It's so Pancake Swap. I think their total volume or total market cap right now is like 3 billion.
We can look at that because actually coin market cap, it's interesting. I was pointing this out a couple days back on the daily morning update, the Block Thrasher daily
Mm-hmm.
morning update, that they've added these tabs at the top of the menu. There's the Polkadot eco, and now they have the
Oh,
Binance Smart Chain eco.
yep.
And so I'm wondering, are we going to see a Cardano eco here soon? But
That
anyway,
would be
so
really amazing. I would love that. I would love to
yeah,
see that.
but here, so we've got Binance obviously coin, but BNB is the top number one, and then there's the
Yeah.
Binance USD has been picking up
Yeah,
market
Binance
cap.
USD is their stable coin is super popular. It's on almost every DeFi platform that I've seen in
Yeah,
some way, shape, or form. If it's not a single asset, it's definitely in a liquidity pool with another
right,
token.
right.
So, but yeah, the Pancake is probably the most swap. I haven't looked into Graph yet, but
I think the graph, though, if I recall, and I kind of wanted to check it just to be sure, but I do believe that it is chain agnostic. So, they only have one contract being listed here, so maybe not. Maybe it is only on the Binance Smart Chain. I don't think so.
ontology. Yeah,
But
one
then,
inch move to the BSC. I was like, whoa,
well,
okay.
it's. I think 1 inch is again chain agnostic. I think that you can. No, you can. And this is actually a really smart thing that
Yeah.
they're doing with over at 1inch dot exchange, chain agnostic. So you can go there and you can select. And if for those who don't know that, maybe you're relatively new to the space, 1inch is like Uniswap. It's a decentralized exchange, but it's an aggregator. So what they're doing is they're going out to the other decentralized exchanges, whether it be 1inch, Uniswap or PancakeSwap, or they got Balancer is listed here, these other Sushi Swap, and they're finding the best swap rate for you. Sushi Swap also just announced the other day that they're going to be working on the Binance Smart Chain as well. So I think this is what's happening. And, I've been saying for a long time with Uniswap, it would really be, Uniswap's been killing it, first off, just in terms of, price is incredible. It's up over $30 now.
That's awesome.
But if they go chain agnostic, where you can choose what chain you want to, whether it be just the big boys in the space, right? Ethereum, Polkadot, Cardano, Binance Smart Chain. If they do that, well, we're going to see them we're going to see Uniswap do very well. We're going to see OneInch do very well. We're going to see Sushi Swap do very well, even Pancake Swap if they go in that direction. I think those tokens will do phenomenally well because people will just continue to, they've been growing. Well, we can go back to coin market cap and we can sort by exchanges. And this is yield farming, DeFi. I don't think that gives us actual exchange. Uniswap, Chainlink, Aave. There's a place where you can go and look at all the.
Those look like ETH. Those look like ETH DeFi.
These are all but there's a place where you can just look at all the exchanges, which is what I was looking for because.
Oh my word! Cake is still up top. It's always up top.
Yeah. Oh, bummer. I'm not finding what I was looking for because what I wanted to see was where the exchanges were in terms of volume,
Right.
Which one was the most coins, tokens? Bummer. Not finding it. Oh, well.
Unless you'd have to go to DeFi for like the ETH and then, but and then they don't have exchanges though. So, but
yeah, there used to be a place. Maybe it's gone for the time being, but that's okay. I mean, in terms of the dexes, Uniswap was number one, and Sushi Swap was probably like number two, and then there's others coming in underneath that, but not really important for the sake of the conversation. But yeah, I mean, obviously the reason that Binance Smart Chain, well, there's probably a number of reasons. One being that Binance is the largest centralized exchange in the world, so they have a huge user base.
Yeah.
And but I mean, the reason they're at number 3 is clearly due to I think some of the issues that Ethereum's been having with the transaction fees and.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think no matter what you feel about Binance is listening to what the customers want, and they're like, okay, you want this, we'll work on it, and there it is. Now they're number 3, And if you went back to that, where was it, the yield farming one, the yield farming tab to the right, and what do you see at the top? It's Pancake. I mean, it's just it's there. People are making money. They're just stacking cake. It's so silly. It's like the website is totally silly. It's all these pancakes and bunnies and syrup and nuts but I wanted to point out that there's a huge difference. These when you talked about these LP tokens, and you take a huge risk when you're getting into these liquidity pools because the platform does not have to rug pull in order to get you to lose money. Like, you're trusting that there will be no significant price changes between one token or the other in your pair, and if there is, then you're screwed. That's it. So there's people, but people do it a lot, but the people that I have sort of listened to, they're like, stay away from liquidity pools unless you're willing to lose all of that tomorrow. Just stay in the single asset, just one coin, because you start getting into 1, 2, 3 liquidity pool tokens. I mean, you're looking at possibly 6 different cryptos at the same time, and you're like, okay, wait, this one was with this one, it's not worth it to me. Of course, the returns in any DeFi space are great, but it's not worth it to me to risk providing liquidity in that aspect. I'd rather just single asset all the way, just like we stack Cardano, and that's it. We don't put it with anything else. That's it. So, but
I did find. Go ahead.
The Binance Smart Chain DeFi space is just, it's crazy. There's Pancake is always, not always, but Pancake has the lion's share because their dev team is super fast. They're always putting out new stuff. They're doing, IFOs for other platforms, helping other platforms, get their legs up. But aside from that, everybody else is just a clone of Pancake and Uni and Sushi. And they'll come out and there'll be this ridiculous name, like one was Smokehouse, and all the tokens in there were like platters like that you would get at a barbecue restaurant.
Yeah.
The latest one right now,
fun.
I think it's probably cooling down. It's called Soups. Every token's like a different kind of soup. Yeah. We had one that was Sponge. It was like sponge and soap and soak, and I was like, oh my word. There was one that was literally,
Dodo
called
Burger Swap.
Yeah, you'll find one in there. It's called Drugs, and I'm just like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
And they'll be insane. I have seen, kid you not, I have seen a queue for quintillion APY because the demand, it is so high. Yeah. It'll last for 4 days. It'll go down, but and then what'll happen is the platform won't die. They won't disappear. It'll just go from, millions of APY down to 200-300 at most. Yeah. And then you'll hear about another platform, a couple days later, and everybody's getting on that train, and they're just like all day long. I mean, they're just talking. Every time I turn on my computer, this one that I'm on right now, I have to quit Discord automatically because the DGen forum, and DGen is what we call people that are doing this, it's blowing up constantly. They're up all night talking about the next DGen platform that's coming out. They're like, I got this massive bag. I'm just going to dump it in there and we're going to fly to the moon, jump out the top and go to the next one. And okay, yeah. That's what you do. I just think it's really entertaining to watch them, but there's definitely, besides Pancake Swap, there's like two others that are interesting. One of them was Beefy Finance. I've been plugged into their Discord and just kind of reading their talk. Obviously not on the degens too much, but their development team is constantly trying to come up with the best aggregators that they can, because it's basically like what you talked about in OneEdge. Their aggregators are trying to find the most efficient ways. Only they're doing auto compounding. So, and they give heads up. There's so many different. It's not just like two Discord sub channels. There's like so many different. There's governance. There's how tos. There's this. There's that. I think they have like 20 different tabs on whatever you need to know, whatever you want to talk about. And there's always somebody from the OG 13 team, they call it, and they're always on there. So if you have questions, they're super nice. They're very knowledgeable, and they're not pushing anybody to get into whatever. They're just like, DYOR, this is what we got. So
do you think we should start a Discord channel for Block Thrasher at some point?
I think that'd be fun. Why not?
Why not?
Yeah.
I actually have one. Actually have one set up. I just haven't promoted the thing at all. So I'll get you an invite link to it. Maybe I'll post an invite in the bottom of this video, and that'll be sort of the genesis of back in the day when I was running mining pools and whatnot under Block Thrasher. I had a pretty active Discord.
Discord is awesome because when back in 2017 during the ICO craze, we didn't have that. We didn't have, and if we did, it was nothing at the size. I mean, there's like 5,000 people on Beefy Finance's Discord alone. There's a flurry of activity, and they're constantly, just talking, communicating. They're constantly going out, checking out new projects, and they're looking at, because after these first rug pulls in ETH, and of course Binance, people, especially the devs, will go out and they'll look at the code because everything's open source. You can look at it. And they know what to look for to see if that platform can rug pull, or of course can mint their own tokens out of like thin air, know. So if they see those, they're usually, it's like, no, yeah, stay away from this one. So everybody's like, all right, whatever. Unless you're a degen, then all the degens are like, whatever, we're just gonna get in and ride the wave because they don't care. So, but I think after there's been enough rug pulls and just how do I say it, impermanent loss scenarios that when platforms are not audited, and when they have in the code that they can mint coins, out of thin air, or they can affect, reward rates, they don't get a lot of attention at all. So, and the ones that are most successful, they actually take a fee for those transactions. You're not just going on there and putting in your coin and then making an insane return for nothing. They're taking out a fee, and they're using that to buy back their native token to keep it actually at a more stable price. And one of them is doing that, and we'll see what happens in the future. We'll see how long they last, because the PancakeSwap isn't even doing that. They haven't had fees yet, so we'll see. Yeah. But I like it because
overall
it's
very risky.
Yeah, it's risky, definitely
on the higher end of the risk scale in terms of.
They're what I call professional gamblers. They just I feel like they just live for the thrill of the ride, the first pump. Jeez.
Right. So, are there any other projects that you're excited about?
Right. Projects
less known or anything?
Oh yeah. Projects that I'm excited about that are less known. We've already been talking about the big ones. Cardano. Well, basically we basically talk about Cardano, but I'm really excited, and I really want to see Tixel and Akash Network succeed, because I believe they're offering some really good stuff. Tixel is offering a sort of a interoperability network superhighway, so to speak, sort of a Autobahn, because we have all these tokens and they're on these different networks. And Tixel is like, okay, well, what if we just combine them all together? We created the capabilities where they could all combine together and just run, so that, because we're seeing this congestion with Ethereum, and we're waiting on Ethereum to actually change that. And we all know how fast they move. So I know there's a lot more to Tixel than what I can explain right now. But I have high hopes. It's a moonshot for sure. They're definitely not well known. But they're based out of Germany. They're two lead. I think it's like a partnership sort of CEO situation. They've had a couple AMAs. They've had an AMA like a month or two ago. They're really smart. It's just hard to keep up. Kind of. Did you ever watch those? Did you watch those videos on the IOHK channel where like the lead devs would come out and they would talk about what's being developed right now? I mean, I tried, and I'm just like, oh man, you're too smart for me. I can't keep up. And it didn't help with the dialect, but that's my problem. So
I've got the Tixel, TIXL.org website up. If people want to check that out, take a look at it in
definitely
CoinGecko as well, and see
what they're see how they're doing. I haven't checked their price in a hot minute.
Look at their pricing, see what exchanges they're on, that sort of thing. TIXL. This time I decided to go with CoinGecko instead of CoinMarketCap.
Right. Pepsi, Coke.
Yeah, I think I actually like Gecko better, but there's just a few things that MarketCap has that in their layout that I've grown accustomed to. So yeah, 8.1% in the last 24 hours, it looks like. So it is an Ethereum token then, it looks like. Okay. All right. And then I'm sure you can get it on Uniswap. Yeah. Uniswap, Galaxy, Probit.
Crypto.com.
Okay. All right. And so Tixel, Tixl, and then you mentioned Kosh.
Yeah,
Tell us a little bit about what
AKT
you like
is the,
about that.
yeah, Akash network is going to try to disrupt the cloud space, because right now we have giants, three giants. We have Microsoft with Azure, or Azure, however what you want to call
Yeah.
it. We have Amazon with AWS.
Yeah.
Um, the CIA has their own Amazon web server. It's
Mhm.
like, and then of course we have Google, and they have their own cloud as well.
Right.
So what Akash is trying to do, they're trying to create a decentralized cloud platform. So with the AWS, I know for sure they have these massive server, sort of server. Why am I losing that word? Installations? No, but
Instances where you can just sort of.
they're just like these massive buildings filled with servers, and
Oh, I
they're
gotcha.
all they have like one big one in this continent, one big one in this over here.
Yeah.
They might have three in one continent, but so they want to pretty much how Cardano is. The nodes are run by people like you and me, and as IOHK or Cardano was it, with each epoch comes out, they relinquish that control. And so then Cardano will be run by all those. So basically,
Right.
it's very similar to that, but they want to do that with cloud technology. So I just
Very
think
cool.
that is very, very ambitious, and I want it to happen, because that would be amazing to see that come into the space. Because I haven't heard of anybody else doing it exactly that way. So
Yeah, if they can make that happen and make it, well, there's been some things in the past that have been similar. There was Siacoin, Filecoin might be somewhat, similar.
mhm.
There's been the IPFS implementations that are happening in different places. I think the challenge has always been is the are the capabilities equivalent to an
Yeah,
AWS in terms of speed and uptime and all those types of
right.
factors. So if they
Right.
can make
Right
that
now they
happen,
have you're right. If they can make that happen, if they can make it just as fast as AWS or
oh
faster,
yeah,
because I know it's cheaper, and it's somewhere here on their page, but they're
mm-hmm.
like, they're like 10 times cheaper than AWS.
Right,
Because when you're dealing with these instances, you're paying by the second or the minute. You're not paying constantly. It's whenever you're using it, actually. So
right,
um, their idea is to decentralize it, completely, spread it out as far as possible, and then
right.
they lower the cost significantly, so that more people, more regular people can get into it. So
Yeah, and obviously those are all good things. And then there's a
mhm.
sociological implication in that. If they can make that work, then
Yeah,
that protects against deplatforming, like with what happened with Parler, for instance,
yeah,
because
I was
Parler
about to
was
say
running
that.
its,
Yeah,
yeah, on the AWS was their back end, and AWS tried to, just shut them down. And then they, apparently, allegedly, according to the CEO, they tried to get other providers, and they all basically said no. So there was like this concerted effort to, and regardless of how you feel about all of that, the
right.
advantage here is that it's just another part of the technological stack that prevents from deplatforming occurring,
Yeah,
which, if you're a First Amendment loving, freedom of speech loving person, is something
it's important.
that you want. Yeah, it's super important. And yeah, interestingly, I'll bounce to another token that I think is probably not as unknown now, just because it's just taken off in recent weeks, and it's at number 18, at least last time I checked, in terms of market cap, and that is Theta. And
Mm,
Theta has a system which is a YouTube alternative,
nice.
decentralized. And what's even more interesting about that is if this is the theta.tv site, which provides live streaming, decentralized live streaming. So also kind of like Twitch, but and also you can upload videos just like you can on YouTube, but it's peer to peer, which is
Nice.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then it runs on the blockchain. It has its own chain. It was an Ethereum token, but now they've got their own chain. It's proof of stake, so you can stake it. But I think it's theta theta coin. or is it Theta Token? It might be Theta
I think
Token. Yeah, Theta Token. There it is, thetatoken.org. The founder of Theta is actually one of the co-founders of YouTube.
awesome.
So yeah. So the dude, where's it at? Here it is. Steve Chen, co-founder, YouTube. And I covered all this on today's market update video that I put out this morning. But this is cool, because again, it's similar to what we were just talking about with the decentralization of the cloud, decentralization of the delivery of video content, right? And it goes beyond that, because what's really cool about this is, sometimes people don't get deplatformed. Like guys that are talking about crypto on YouTube, maybe they don't get shut down, but YouTube just says, well, you can't, we're not going to let you monetize anymore. So you can't run ads. You can't, and making videos is very time consuming, very hard work, especially if you want to do quality work and you want to actually provide some good analysis. So some of these guys are making, living off of it by running the ads. Well, they pull that. So Theta, there's another library, which is very similar. LBRY is another project to check out. Very cool. These provide a way for the content creators to get paid, to make money, to their followers can give them tips, but also viewers just earn Theta fuel by watching. Right. So it's a win-win for everybody in every way.
Yeah.
Every way.
That's awesome.
So I'm kind of excited about that one. I would like to see, I was actually blown away because another very similar project is BitTube, which I mentioned earlier in tonight's pod, because it's like the number 2 most profitable coin to mine with GPUs after Ethereum. And they're doing very, very similar kind of thing. But to see, there it is, Theta Network is now at number 18 in market cap, just shows that it's really picking up some steam. No pun intended.
Rest in peace.
Rip. Steam became.
How do we say it?
What?
How do you say it? Wasn't a lot of people making like basically like bots to pump their gains?
There's a whole story there. That what basically happened was when Steam was created by Daniel Larimer, right? The BTS BitShares guy, and also EOS and other things, which interestingly enough, he's got a new project now that's going to be like, he's trying to go after Twitter and create a decentralized Twitter. But what happened was some of the co-founders in the very beginning started to pre-mine Steam before the launch. And so they mined this big pre-mine, which they weren't supposed to do, but they did. And so then what happened was those coins ended up being just like sitting there. And at one point in time, Justin Sun came along after a bunch of other things had happened, but he came along and he bought that pre-mine and took over the Steam network. And so that's when the community, then there was this big contentious battle, and he started doing some nasty stuff, like actually deleting people's accounts and tokens and turning their balances to zero and stuff like this. Wow. So they all left, and they started, and I'm blanking on it, a new project, which is basically it's a clone of Steam, and it has become larger than Steam. And I'm gonna have to like search Steam here to see what it's.
It's just like to ease. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Steam.
Steam is one.
This should give me what similar project is in. Let me pull it up. Why can I not think of what it's called? It's like something with a D. Oh, well. Now I'll mention it at some other point in time. But that the community basically all left and went and launched this new project to replace Steam. So similar in concept, but failed. So even when, that's just a good illustration that even when things are decentralized, if they're not properly decentralized, if there's too much of a pre-mine, or if the creators hold too much of that token, it can just be destroyed. It's one of the problems I have with XRP, but that's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah, that's what I like about Liquid, because did you watch there was probably several, but I did watch a video of where I think he was CEO, but they asked him, they said, is there going to be like a little bit of a pre-sale? And he's like, nope, no pre-sale. Everybody's going to start out zero. day
Are you
one.
talking the liquid decentralized exchange that
Yeah.
is being voted on right now in Catalyst that's going to be launching on Cardano?
Yeah.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah, cause somebody asked him if there's gonna be like a pre-sale, where you like, buy some before it starts. And he's like, nope, it's just when it starts, it starts.
Yeah, that's Dwayne is the guy I think that you're talking about. I
Dwayne
can't remember his last
something.
name, but
Yeah.
yeah, that's something to watch. I think definitely seems like a pretty legit project there. That's one of the things that I think is potentially a good strategy to look for new projects to invest in would be, and you could do, it would apply to Cardano, it would apply to Polkadot, apply to any of those types of platforms, Phantom, Avalanche, whatever, Elrond, is to, especially if they have a platform like Cardano does with Catalyst, where they're funding new projects and developers, go check out, just go get involved and pay attention to these new projects that are being listed, because one of them is going to be the next Uniswap.
Yep.
So yeah, and if it is, you don't have to throw a bunch in. You can just throw a small amount, have a little bit of a holding, and still do quite well. Right.
Exactly.
Well, we've been talking for a while. I'm not even sure, to be honest.
I don't know how long have we gone?
But this has been good. I think we covered a bunch of really great things, and I've enjoyed it. Is there anything else that's just on your mind, or that that you think is important or pertinent to, that you want to just quickly talk about before we wrap this up, or are we good to go?
One more thing about the NFT thing, that NFT craze is going to hit pretty quickly. Once Gen Z actually learns how to wrap their head around it, and they start tokenizing like at basketball players, like the article that I put out this morning about the NBA actually having a blockchain committee or something like that. I was like, holy cow. Like
just before we move on with that, something that I'm starting to realize is that we have people in this audience, and I'm sure all over the crypto space, that are like all over the spectrum in terms of understanding what things are. So can you just explain what an NFT is and what NFT means, like what the acronym stands for, real quickly? So the
acronym NFT stands for non-fungible token. And I like to look at it as like digitized art, not digital art. When I say digitized, I mean there's no physical asset anymore. Remember the Banksys? Did you hear about the Banksys? The Banksys painting that was created into an NFT.
Sold for,
it was valued at
insane amount.
It was valued at, so it was a painting, and it was valued at like $3,000 before they created an NFT for it. And then they literally burned the painting, and then they sold the NFT for $380,000 or something like that. I mean, it was ridiculous. So,
so the NFT must have had a photo attached or something.
That's something that I can think of it. It's that it has a sort of a key that's associated to it. That's like something. This is it. This is the actual Banksy's artwork. So I think it's really cool that we're getting a new space. Because we've been in like finance since 2013. We haven't had much of a collector space, unless you want to count crypto kitties, but I'm not.
Dapper Labs. Dapper Labs is doing some new stuff with that. Actually, they created the Cheese Whiz, I think it was called, thing, and then but the more interesting one is it's called NBA Stars or something to this effect. And they're selling moments, which are like little video clips of moments within the NBA, and they're sold as NFTs. You mentioned that an NFT is a non-fungible token, but what I was also kind of looking for, and we'll just explain real quickly to everybody, is that fungible token means that it's exchangeable for another of the same kind, right? So Bitcoin is fungible. One Bitcoin is the same as another Bitcoin, is the same as another Bitcoin, whereas an NFT has a unique cryptographical identifier, and there's either one of that kind, or it can be split up even, and there can be ownership can be distributed out across a number of people. So you could use an NFT to split ownership, almost like shares in a company or something to that effect. but it's unique and it can't be copied, and it's stored on the blockchain, which is obviously immutable. So kind of what I think, Josiah was just pointing out, that is that that aspect of it, that uniqueness of it, the fact that it's on the blockchain, that all of that brought like a whole bunch of additional value to this Banksy painting.
Yeah.
Beyond and they can have physical products. So like NFTs could be used down the road to sell a house or a boat or something like that as well. But they could also be not physical products at all, and just, basically it's just a unique identifier and unique token on a blockchain.
Yeah, I
So
think it's going to take some time for.
Sorry, I was one more thought with that before. Don't lose your thought. It's like ultimate scarcity, right? And so like when you think about, like, I used to bet into baseball cards back in the day, but that was like in 1988, 89, 90, and I had all these baseball cards, and I used to put it on the table, and I used to get my Beckett magazine, and I used to look at their value, and I go like, oh, I've got all this money in baseball cards, and it was like my whole collection was $100 or something. I thought I was rich, right? Trade them with the neighbor kids and whatnot. Well, that's one of the best examples of what an NFT is. But it's funny because those baseball cards ended up being like pretty much worthless. And the reason was because, Ken Griffey Jr. never ended up amounting to much, number one. But number two is there was millions of that card created. So there was no scarcity. Well, the baseball card companies eventually, later on, starting in the 90s and following, got smart, and they were like, we can build in scarcity. We can put it like a patch card, and it's like at just a unique piece of the player's uniform. And then maybe we make like 100 of these patch cards, and we'll number them 1 of 100 or whatever. And then those cards became like crazy, ridiculous valuable, where you could open up a pack, find one of those, and it could be worth $200 or something. And so that is, that's what NFTs are all about, just in a digital sense.
It's awesome. It is awesome. When are they going to have NFT Pokemon cards? I want a share of a Mewtwo.
So that's another one of my lesser known projects that I'm excited about, is Bondly. And I think they did have Pokemon card, actually.
What?
It's Bondly Finance.
Bear with us, 90s kids nerdiness.
Okay, now this is the Dark in the Shadow one. That's not, but Polka Pets. There it is. Polka Pet World 3-card booster pack. Now, I don't know if that is actually Pokemon or not, because that would, I'm sure, be something that's licensed. But
right.
What I like about this project is it's got a lot of DeFi stuff going on here, but it's going to be a marketplace for NFTs, and it is blockchain agnostic. So currently they're on the Polkadot chain, but they've talked of going to Cardano, but they're gonna work on everything. I mean, they're gonna, Ethereum, as they have here, Ethereum, Tron, Cardano, Kusama. Am I sharing my screen right now? I'm not sharing my screen. I just realized no one can see this. So going back to that, so you can all see what I was actually looking at, that I thought you were looking at. This is the Bondly site. And here's the Polka Pets trading card game collection. Oh yeah. Card game comes with unique utility for every Polkadot project. And so, and then here's the platforms down here on the bottom. They're talking about, they're going to have music labels, artist ticketing, gaming, influencers, pop culture, visual art, graphic novels, film, sports, team memberships, ticketing, all this stuff. NFT Launchpad, where you can create NFTs. There's going to be a bond swap. They're going to have basically like a store where these can be sold. And so, on Ethereum, Tron, Cardano, Kusama, Darwin.
Awesome. That's so cool.
Yeah, and I
Kusama.
saw some.
Oh my word. What's the part of Kusama where you can't be a part of a certain part of Kusama if you don't have like was it like a tattoo or something, or was it? That was weird. I was like some sort of fraternity, and I was like, wait, what? We're gonna.
Sometimes there gets to be some cultish elements within the cryptocurrency space for sure.
Slightly culty.
Especially within, and we didn't get into that conversation, the Bitcoin maximalist, some of them get to be pretty intense, like, in you're not a Bitcoin maximalist, have fun staying poor or something like that, and it just makes me laugh because you can take almost any altcoin in the top 10 and on almost any time frame, but especially if you go back to the beginning of the year or go back a year from now or whatever, and purchase the same amount of that altcoin, like $5,000 of that altcoin versus 5,000 of Bitcoin or 5,000 of Ethereum, even same holds true. And you're gonna like 30x or more with the altcoins typically versus 2 or 3x with, or 20x in the case of, the point being is you're gonna do. In fact, I'm thinking of doing a chart of this, or what do they call it? I'm blanking on it right now, but it's like a graphical representation of data. I can't think of the term for it. Anyway, I might make one or it just illustrates visually
something. I'm going to show you something.
No, there's a word for this. What do they call it? It's like a graphic. It's a really cool graphic, and it has and there's a word for it, and it's like
infographic.
Infographic. There we go. Golly, man. What's going on? You get those mind blocks every now and then, Anyway, an infograph that just shows like the difference of what would happen. I mean, you shared a video just the other day of one of the YouTube influencers mentioning this truth, and he was a little provocative in the way he was doing it, and probably not.
Yes, but he is. Yes.
The point was good. The point was true. The point was true. The numbers show that
he gives it to you straight.
Well, see, here's the thing of it. Here's the thing is that Bitcoin and Ethereum have already seen these massive run-ups, and in order for them to double, right? Bitcoin now has to go from close to $1 trillion to $2 trillion, which means a lot of new money has to rush in. I mean, a lot, right? So whereas you take something like Cardano that's at 35 billion, it only has to go to 70 billion, right? To double. So that is not, it's just more viable. It's easier. It happened. It's more likely to occur, more likely to happen.
Yeah.
Basically. So, yeah.
And they got utility. They're useful. They do more than just sit there.
Well, yeah. Well, that's the thing. If we get into that discussion, if we're actually going to go down the path of like why to not be a maximalist, there's more to it than just making money.
Yeah.
I mean, my arguments. It's funny because one of the whole like underlying ideas behind cryptocurrency is this idea of decentralization, and the idea that no one thing should kind of rule, or one entity, or one, and and so the maximalists are all for decentralization as long as the decentralization means decentralization of Bitcoin. But to me, to have competing currencies is actually a form of decentralization, right? So if somebody goes after Bitcoin and tries to attack it, whether it be a nation state or a combination of nation states, try to do a 51% attack or something, all the other cryptocurrencies are there as well. And so the space as a whole is decentralized by the existence of these other cryptocurrencies. And there's a resiliency there, right?
Yes.
So that's good. But also that fosters competition. We're seeing it right now in these platform wars. Ethereum made some mistakes. Ethereum better get their act together. If they don't, they're going to be supplanted by something else.
Somebody's going to be flipped.
And that's a good thing. We don't want one phone company. We don't
want
Lord of the
one
Rings. Doctor.
This is crypto.
I mean, nobody wants to live in a city where there's just one fast food. You know what I mean? And I think
we only do
money,
an Electroneum.
Yeah. I think a lot of those guys are just there. They get like that because they were OGs, early adapters way back. And so they have this huge bag of Bitcoin, and their feeling is all these other projects coming in are taking value away from Bitcoin. And I don't think that's true. No. I think that what's actually happening is these other projects are bringing in people that otherwise would, like a guy like Dwayne. I wish I could remember his last name. But I think he's in South Africa, and he's getting funding. I could be wrong about where he's at, but he's getting funding to create Liquid, which is going to be a Uniswap type of decentralized exchange on the Cardano platform. And he's a talented developer who otherwise, if it wasn't for that opportunity, maybe wouldn't even be in the space at all. And so it brings in all these other coins, bring in more people that get excited about things that they're working on or use cases. And these projects solve problems, and it's just good for the space overall. So anyway, I almost went, I'm done. I could have done a longer rant, but that's going to be
stepping off.
I think that will suffice for the moment. I'm sure this will come up again, but yeah. So All right. Did you say everything did you say everything you wanted to say about NFTs?
Yeah, I mean, it's
Did
just, yeah, just be the ability to tokenize, you said sports movement. I didn't know about that. I knew that players are in the future, players are going to be tokenized once they understand how crypto works. I mean, it's going to be insane.
Yeah. Yeah. We're at a time too where with the COVID-19, uh, sometimes I'm calling it the COVID-1984 pandemic, but that's a, I'm going to share the screen real quick just to show. So Dapper Labs was the creator of CryptoKitties, and they were originally CryptoKitties ran on Ethereum. They sort of were the first to illustrate the problem that Ethereum had with its high transaction fees and congestion, because CryptoKitties broke the global computer that Ethereum was essentially, right?
It's
So
kids, it's cats. Oh
so
my
I know,
word.
right? So here's their thing: Top Shots. That's what it's called, Top Shots. And oh, this is taking me to the Discord. You do not want to go to the
What?
Discord. They have a
Hey,
Discord
dude.
if you want to, but it says for the first time you can own the NBA's most jaw-dropping highlights.
And
Yeah, there's
CryptoKitties.
CryptoKitties, and there's the Cheese Wizards.
The
Cheese
cheese
Wizard.
wizards.
No, but what's really interesting is they built their own uh, protocol or platform for this, and it's
Oh,
called Flow. It's the Flow token, and but what's crazy about it is you can't buy it in the U.S. It's only on Kraken, and and it's only available to non-U.S. residents currently. But uh, yeah,
currently.
so yeah, but it looks like a pretty impressive blockchain actually. Oh, here it is, Flow. 500 plus developers, 100 plus known projects, dApps, games, NFTs, DeFi tools. The blockchain for open worlds. Does this take us through to the Flow onflow.org if you want to check that out?
Yeah.
So it's supposed to, they've got like sharding built in, and Flow was designed from the ground up as a foundation for internet scale protocols and applications that also require exceptional user experience. There was some interesting things on here that I saw. They were talking.
Ubisoft. Oh,
Yeah, Ubisoft. That's
wow.
big time.
That's AAA right there.
Yeah, but they were talking about how the transaction fees and the you know there they were essentially saying that there were bigger problems with Ethereum than just transaction fees and the congestion thing. That the solution that sharding, oh, that's what it was. That sharding, they don't think that sharding is actually. I wish I could find what it was to just read to you guys real quick, but they don't believe that sharding is the answer to scalability, basically. And oh, here it is. Just keep scrolling. No sharding. No sharding, they say. Smart contracts and user accounts on Flow can always interact with each other in one atomic, consistent, isolated, and durable ACID transaction. In other words, all applications on Flow can run in the same sharded execution state. This ensures Flow apps benefit from great user experience and full composability, letting developers easily build on each other's networks. Here we go. Sharding and layer 2 solutions break composability and reduce network effects for dApps and smart contracts by removing ACID guarantees from the execution environment. So just a little bit of something interesting thing there.
That's weird. One acid transaction.
Yeah.
Oh
Hey,
boy.
who knows what these guys are taking? I mean, they're naming stuff, CryptoKitties and
I got it.
Cheese Wizards, right?
Cheese wizards. Yeah, I could never get into CryptoKitties. I was like,
Oh no.
this is too much of a hit on my masculinity. I'm gonna
Yeah,
gracefully decline.
yeah, yeah, yeah. They needed to do something more like I don't know, Viking. I don't know,
I don't know.
or
Even when
something,
they
or
came out with
like
the
dinosaur.
NFT, even when they came out with NFT real estate, I was like, wait, what? You're
Yeah,
like buying pieces of digital land. This is
yeah.
it's crazy.
Yeah, I think maybe we just to kind of wrap
Yeah.
things up, just summarize with that. I started out asking you about some of the things that you were excited about within the space, and I think you've covered a bunch of those. And NFTs is certainly one of the big ones, and that's how I feel about it too. I feel like it's exciting to see the number go up, right? That Bitcoin is at $50,000,
Yeah.
but that really is largely. I mean, that's a function of two things. There's been a huge increase in adoption, absolutely, but also that's in part because the dollar is inflationary, and they just keep, more and more stimmy checks and more quantitative easing and more printing, and on and on and on it goes. And the Bitcoin is deflationary because it has that fixed supply of 21 million, and as are most of the cryptos. But so that's exciting. But what's even more exciting to me is that we're really starting to see some of the technology that surrounds cryptocurrency, some of that has come to be as a result of the underlying decentralization, the technology there, and smart contract capabilities and the dApps that can come with that. We're starting to see things that are really potentially going to change the world, I believe, in really positive ways, because it's going to give more sovereignty to individuals, allow them
Right.
to protect, hopefully, their privacy, to an extent.
Yeah.
We'll see how effective that can be. But
Right.
even if it's not protecting their privacy, it's just giving them access to things, especially in third world countries around the world. And I think this is one of the emphasis of Cardano that I particularly also like, and Charles Hoskinson's vision. I think he's a huge visionary. Is that it's great for those of us in the first world countries in the United States to invest in something and to see it go up and gain wealth or whatever. But for the most part, we all have access to banking and our and doing relatively well. We're not struggling to try to figure out how to bootstrap a business. I mean, it can be hard, but in places like South Africa and other places around the world where they're getting smartphones, but then now they can literally like set up a business and interact and receive payment from other people, and then go to a decentralized exchange and swap it for whatever they want, and then just get loans, micro loans, micro payments, all the NFT stuff that you've talked about. I mean, just the value that could be created within this space moving forward, if these technologies bring to fruition what they promise, is going to be huge. It's going to be massive and super exciting.
It's awesome.
Agree?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, man.
Yeah. Yeah. So
it's like breaking the fourth wall or something.
And we're still early, I think, in that.
Well, yeah, we're like what? We are the whole crypto like market value as a whole is like 1/10 of the gold market,
right?
And we already have all this cool stuff that we can offer you besides a hunk of yellow metal that you can put in your closet.
And most of the crypto market is still 60% of it is in Bitcoin. So, if you get into some of these altcoins and they end up delivering on some of this NFT type of things, I mean, dude, all it takes is one major celebrity to start releasing some NFTs that go viral, and whatever platform it's on explodes, right? I mean, and with that just comes immense value. So yeah, it's exciting. It's always a good day. It's always a good day to earn more crypto, for sure. Stack more crypto.
For sure.
Right?
Fill your bags, people. Train's leaving.
That's right. Woo, woo. Get on.
Train's leaving. We're going to turn into a rocket.
That's right.
Oh, man. Come Christmas.
Well, thank you for your time. We'll have to do this again sometime. It's been great.
Yeah, for sure.
Awesome. One of the things I want to do, I look forward to doing, and I'm bringing this up because as you do your research, you come across any other tokens or coins that really grab your attention, send them my way, of course. I mean, as I know you already have been doing, but I want to start every month. I'll probably be putting together something like a spreadsheet. It won't be a spreadsheet. It'll be nicer than that because I'm a designer, and it'll be like a PDF with 20 coins that are worthy of your attention and why, right? And we're going to do real like intense analysis on these things.
It'll be an infographic.
Yeah, maybe a nice infographic to do it. I mean, hey, if you're gonna put out some data, you might as well make it pleasing on the eyes, right?
Yeah, don't give us a death by PowerPoint.
Yeah, we're gonna do some crypto candy. We get the crypto kitties, and that'll be for everybody that's a member on the blockthrasher.com website. So please go check that out. And we've got a vibrant group in Facebook at facebook.com/groups/blockthrasher. And of course, you can get the podcasts on anchor.fm or Google or iTunes, or what is it called? Apple Podcasts, Spotify. It's everywhere. Just search for Block Thrasher. Anyway, it's been great to have you with me here today, and we'll do this again sometime. And I always appreciate all of your interaction and thoughts that you bring to the group and to us and to the community. So we'll just keep on pressing on, right? And
dollar cost average.
That's right. Oh, there you go. DCA. Dollar cost average.
Every day. Not every day. When you can.
every second. A dollar cost average on the second. Micro DC.
Micro DC. Somebody will try to make that legit. I know. It's like, give it a year.
Yeah. There's going to be a
This is the way
website,
to
Micro
invest.
DCA. You know.
Oh, my
All right.
word.
Well, we've gone long enough now. I hope you have a great evening. Hope all of you who are listening just having a phenomenal day or night or whatever time it is when you hear this. And we'll catch up with you soon. Thanks a lot.